I've encountered several billionaires in my career, and every single one of them spends their money in different ways. Some people spend it on art, some on philanthropy, some on fancy cars and jets and properties, and then there's Bill Gates, who spends his fortune on all of the above and more. After all, why shouldn't he? The man is the second richest person on Earth, with a net worth of approximately $104 billion. Chances are, you know who Bill Gates is, and how he's amassed such a massive fortune. He founded a little company called Microsoft in 1975 with one of his high school friends, Paul Allen. Microsoft was the first real software company, and was the company that put computers on the desks and in the homes of every person in America. And they've only progressed since then. In just the past 5 years, the company's stock has increased 300%, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. Though Bill Gates stepped down as the CEO of Microsoft in 2006, his net worth has only increased since. He has stocks in multiple companies through his holding company, Cascade Investments, including stock in Four Seasons Hotel and Resorts, Corbis, Deere & Company, and Beyond Meat. With all the money Bill Gates has received from his business success, he could spend $1 million per day for 245 years. It's hard to imagine how you would even go about spending such a fortune, but Bill has certainly found a few ways. By a huge margin, he spent most of his money on his extensive list of properties. His most well-known home, nicknamed Xanadu 2.0 in Medina, Washington, is worth an incredible $125 million. The land, nestled against the edge of the water, was purchased for $2 million and took another $63 million to build to Bill Gates' satisfaction. That means the home is completely decked out with everything he could ever want. The 66,000 square foot mansion is an earth-sheltered house built into the coastline to help regulate temperature and look pretty darn cool as well. The estate has 24 luxurious bathrooms and 7 beds, all of which are stocked with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of technology. Pins can be worn by their family that adjust rooms as they walk, setting the temperature, lighting, and music to their specifications without even having to touch a button. There are also $150,000 worth of screens that cycle through pictures of famous artwork throughout the home. Now, these features are impressive, but there are some other features that only a billionaire like Bill Gates can afford. There's a 2,500 square foot state-of-the-art gym, which includes an area with 20-foot ceilings. It also happens to be a trampoline room. If you're not feeling the gym, there are plenty of ways to relax in Xanadu 2.0, including the 1,500 square foot home theater with 20 plush seats, a popcorn machine, and an Art Deco design. That Art Deco design is carried through into the 2,100 square foot library, where there is a Great Gatsby quote etched into the ceiling. Like any self-respecting billionaire's library, there are 2 hidden rooms behind the bookshelf, one of which opens up into a speakeasy. If guests are over, there are plenty of ways to keep them entertained. The 2,300 square foot reception hall is able to host and seat 200 people for more private affairs. The dining room has enough seating for 24 dinner guests. Then there's the outside, where the pool has its own building. The 60-foot pool house has an underwater music system, an entire locker room, and a spa area. Beyond the pool house, there's a man-made estuary and stream stocked with salmon and trout. I love salmon. The lakefront property has its own beach, but the sand isn't native to Lake Washington. Instead, the sand was imported from the Caribbean, allowing him to lounge in beautiful white sand, even in the Pacific Northwest. That was Bill Gates' first true million-dollar home, and his most recent is almost as impressive. The Del Mar home was purchased for $43 million on March 27, 2020. The 5,800 square foot home has 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and 120 feet of beachfront access. Not much is known about the beautiful home, but the interior is lined with light mahogany and limestone. The patio faces the water and is peppered with seating areas, fire pits, jacuzzi tubs, and a stunning infinity pool. But the amenities don't stop there. The $1 million beach home has a health spa, a home theater, a tennis court, a large greenhouse, and a pair of guest houses. The new Del Mar home isn't the Gates' first foray into California properties. In 2014, Bill Gates purchased Rancho Paciana, a 229-acre compound outside of San Diego. The property cost him $18 million and comes with a favorite amenity of the wealthy, horse stables. There are not one, but 4 30-stable barns on the property, as well as an additional 21-stall barn and a 3/4-mile racetrack to take the horses out for a spin. There's even several rolling pastures, olive groves, and even a veterinarian on site. But that isn't Bill Gates' only horse property. Apparently, space for over 100 horses doesn't quite cut it. Over the past few years, Bill has spent $59 million on several ranch properties in Wellington, Florida. There are several homes, stables, pastures, and racetracks spread across the land. At least one of the homes on the property is 7,000 square feet, with 4 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms. Now, that's a lot of properties, but we're not quite finished. Bill also owns a $12.5 million home in Palm Desert, California, which is set against a golf course and has 6 bedrooms with 9 bathrooms. If he's really looking to get away from the city, he can fly over to Wyoming, where he owns a 492-acre ranch that was once owned by none other than Buffalo Bill Cody. How much did that little slice of history cost him? Well, a measly $8.9 million. Of course, all these homes are stocked with luxury furniture and some things that most people couldn't even fathom owning. Bill is a lover of the arts, and that clearly shows in his homes. He owns a Winslow Homer painting that he purchased for $36 million and a 16th century Leonardo da Vinci manuscript that cost him another whopping $30 million. The homes are also stocked with cars, about $5.1 million worth, to be exact. He owns a Tesla Model X, an Audi R8, a Lamborghini Aventador valued at $600,000, a Bugatti Veyron worth around $1.7 million, and a handful of vintage Porsches. But to get to all of his properties, he needs to take to the sky. Luckily, he owns a Bombardier BD700 Global Express, which can seat up to 19 people and costs a startling $40 million. From this list, it may seem like Bill Gates spends all his money on luxury properties and items, but that's not entirely true. Bill is often commended for his philanthropy, and for good reason. Bill and his wife, Melinda, began the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which has donated more than $36 billion towards improving global health and education and reducing poverty. In 2017 alone, the company donated $4.8 billion. In fact, Bill is almost entirely focused on philanthropy now that his focus on his career has slowed. He signed the Giving Pledge, promising to donate almost all of his net worth over the rest of his lifetime. So, there you have it, the fortune of Bill Gates, and how exactly he spends it. What would you do if you could spend one weekend with Mr. Gates? I don't know about you, but maybe I'd go out for a little yacht party, but that's just me.
Jeff Bezos is the richest person in modern history. His estimated net worth is $156 billion, making him the first person to accumulate a fortune over $100 billion. Bezos' wealth is so massive that according to Business Insider calculations, spending $88,000 to him is similar to an average American spending $1. And he intends to spend his entire fortune for the good of humanity. But it might not be in the way that you'd think. Amazon is the primary source of Bezos' considerable wealth. He founded the company in 1994, and today he's the CEO and largest stockholder with a 16% stake in the company. As the Amazon stock price increases, so does its leader's wealth. Since its IPO in 1997, Amazon's split-adjusted stock price has increased 97,000%. Amazon has turned into a brand that touches almost every aspect of life and has grown through lucrative acquisitions and investments. In 2009, Amazon purchased the online shoe retailer Zappos for $1.2 billion. In 2017, the company bought Whole Foods for $13.7 billion, giving Amazon a hold on 18% of the U.S. online grocery market. And in February of 2018, the company unveiled Amazon Web Services, its $17.5 billion cloud computing business. Not surprisingly, the richest man in the country is also one of the largest landowners in the country. He owns a 5.3-acre home in Medina, Washington that's valued at $25 million. His estate neighbors the second richest living person, Bill Gates. Bezos also owns a $23 million townhouse in Washington, D.C., neighboring the Obamas and Ivanka Trump. On top of that, he has a $25 million mansion in Beverly Hills and 3 apartments in New York City that total a value of $17 million. And finally, his largest real estate purchase is a 30,000-acre ranch in Van Horn, Texas, that serves as a base for his space exploration company, Blue Origin. But we'll get back to that. To get around to all his homes and investments, Bezos owns a $65 million Gulfstream jet. Unlike his billionaire peers, Bezos doesn't engage in public philanthropy very often, but he has made large donations to Mary's Place, an organization that supports Seattle's homeless population, as well as the Dream US, which supports people protected by the DREAM Act. He does, however, publicly invest in and fund projects. In 2013, Bezos funded and led an expedition to recover one of the rocket engines from the Apollo 12 mission from the floor of the Atlantic Ocean. On his request, NASA donated it to Seattle's Museum of Flight. In early 2018, Bezos provided $42 million in funding for the 10,000-year clock through the Long Now Foundation. The clock is meant to be a symbol of long-term thinking. He's made a number of investments and acquisitions through his venture capital firm, Bezos Expeditions, and he's personally invested in Google, Uber, Airbnb, and more, including his 2013 purchase of the Washington Post for $250 million. But his most ambitious venture has been Blue Origin. Its rocket New Shepard has had several successful test flights, and it's currently developing a larger rocket called New Glenn. He liquidates $1 billion of Amazon stock per year to fund the project and its goals of supporting large-scale human spaceflight and colonizing the solar system. And he plans to use all his wealth to fund space exploration. Bezos believes it's his most important work. He hopes Blue Origin will increase human production and efficiency and will help avoid civilization stasis.
I'm very lucky because I feel like I have a mission-driven purpose with Blue Origin that is, I think, incredibly important for civilization long-term.
All around the world, there are athletes making millions of dollars. There's Sachin Tendulkar making his fortune playing cricket, and Serena Williams raking in the dough on the tennis court. However, there is one athlete with a net worth higher than both of them combined. Whether you call it football or soccer, chances are you've heard of Cristiano Ronaldo. He's the second highest paid athlete in the world right now, and has been ranked as the world's most famous athlete year after year after year. Today, we're going to take a look at his career, his fortune, and how exactly he spends his millions. Cristiano Ronaldo has a classic rags to riches story, which might have had quite an influence on how he spends his money as an adult. He grew up in poverty in Portugal, sharing a single bedroom with 3 siblings. By the age of 14, it was decided that he was good enough to play semi-professionally, so he decided to drop out of school. For many people, that would be a questionable move, but it worked out pretty well for Cristiano. In 2019, Cristiano made an outstanding $109 million, the highest paid amount of his career in a single year. In 2018, he signed a 4-year contract with Juventus, promising him $64 million a year. Not only was he set with an incredible salary, Juventus also paid him a $117 million transfer fee. It's pretty hard to imagine making $117 million, just signing your name on a little piece of paper. But naturally, when you're a famous athlete, playing isn't your only way to make money. On average, Cristiano makes $44 million a year just from his endorsements, which include companies like Clean Healthcare, Tag Heuer, Herbalife, and Toyota. His biggest contract, however, is with Nike. The contract is expected to earn him $1 billion in his lifetime, extended far beyond his playing career. Considering he has the most Instagram followers in the world, I guess it should come as no surprise that companies would be willing to pay him such an incredible amount. In addition to making money off of his sports career, Cristiano has gone on to open a fair amount of businesses to supplement his income. He owns 2 hotels, each called Pestiana CR7, which are located in Lisbon and Funchal, Portugal. The hotel sports modern architecture and lighting with a football theme, complete with stadium pictures, turf, and black and white sports photos. He also opened a hair transplant clinic called Inspiraya in Spain and runs his own lifestyle and clothing company called CR7. So, he has his money tied up in several businesses and makes a fortune playing football. But what do you even do with more than $100 million a year? Well, if you're Cristiano Ronaldo, you spend most of it on homes. He owns over $27 million worth of properties around the world. His most recent home, a double villa in Turin, Italy, is worth millions of dollars. One villa wasn't quite enough, so he opted for 2 connecting villas that overlook the city on the end of a private street. The home has 8 bedrooms, an indoor and outdoor pool, a private garden, an indoor gym, and dozens of fireplaces to complement the vintage aesthetic of the home. Naturally, this isn't the only house he owns. Cristiano also owns an apartment in Trump Tower in New York City, which cost him $18.5 million. The New York apartment is the polar opposite of his Turin home. While his Turin home is embellished with an old-world flair, the Trump Tower apartment took a much different approach. The home is styled in the maximalist style of Juan Pablo Molyneux, which includes several interesting patterns, lots of marble, and lots of gold. The apartment has 3 bedrooms, 2 spa-like bathrooms, and 2,510 feet of living space that overlooks New York with undisturbed views of Central Park and the Hudson River. He also owns a vacation home in Spain, located in Marabella. The $1.6 million villa can be found in a brand new exclusive development known as the Superstars Cul-de-sac. Sounds like a place I'd like to live. The home is incredibly modern, with stark white features, high ceilings, and panoramic windows. The master suite includes a huge walk-in closet, a patio, and stunning views of the ocean. Of course, he can also look at the ocean from his infinity pool or sunny deck if he feels like giving himself time to truly relax. The home is also complete with a wine cellar and a full cinema. In addition to collecting homes, Cristiano is a huge fan of collecting cars, and the more expensive, the better. He currently owns 19 luxury vehicles worth millions of dollars. Just take a look at a few of the cars he owns. A $360,000 Rolls-Royce Phantom, a Bentley GT Speed worth $220,000, 2 Aston Martins, a $1.7 million Bugatti Veyron, and the most impressive of all, an $8.5 million limited edition Bugatti Centodieci. There have only been 10 made in the world, and they can go 0 to 60 in just 2.4 seconds. Ooh, that just gave me the tingles. In addition to owning his cars, he does have 2 more expensive vehicles, private jets. His first, a Gulfstream G200 business jet, reportedly costing him $19 million. But he didn't stop with just one jet. He needed the biggest and the best. And with a record like his, can you blame him? He went on to purchase a Gulfstream G650, which cost him a startling $64.5 million. The Gulfstream G650 is often cited as the best private jet on the market, and I have to agree. Capable of seating 8 passengers, the jet can be customized to fit the owner's needs however necessary. And whenever Cristiano is jetting off to Greece, China, or the United States, as he's been known to do, you bet he's doing it in style. Along with his cars, jets, and homes, Cristiano isn't shy spending his money on clothes and watches. In fact, he owns one of the most expensive watches ever made by Rolex. A Rolex GMT Master Ice, which retails for an astounding $485,000. The watch is set with 30 carats of diamonds and made with 18-carat white gold. He's also been spotted wearing a $160,000 Jacob & Co. watch and a canary yellow diamond ring valued at $261,000. So, there you have it, the wealth of Cristiano Ronaldo. And what exactly he spends it on. What do you think of his purchases? What would you do with this kind of money? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoy this sports content, make sure to check out my friends over at Nonstop Sports. Link in the description below. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. Recently, Tesla earned the distinction of being the most valuable United States automaker in history, reaching a record-high market value of $86.5 billion. A company that started in 2003, beating out long-term companies like Ford and GM by a good 10 to 20 billion is quite a surprise, and people are certainly reacting. When I saw the news, while riding in my Tesla on autopilot no less, I was astounded. Chances are, unless you've been living under a rock, you've heard of Elon Musk. When it comes to billionaires who have been in the spotlight, he's one of the most eclectic billionaires around, and with a net worth of around 29 billion, he's one of the wealthiest people out there. But could he be wealthier? Could he dethrone Jeff Bezos to become the richest man on the planet? Could he even go as far as to become the world's first trillionaire? Today, we're going to take a look at how wealthy Elon could become. But first, we have to take a look at where he came from. Journey back with me to South Africa, then Canada, then Pennsylvania, then, well, this guy's been all over the place. Born in South Africa, Elon was pretty much set to be a tech nerd from the get-go. He taught himself to code and sold his first bit of video game code at the age of 12. In middle school and high school, he was frequently bullied by people who probably feel pretty stupid about that now. As a fellow nerd who got a few shoves back in the heyday, I've got to say, success is the sweetest revenge. He went on to go to college in Canada, then in the United States, where he paid for his rent by turning his college apartment into a speakeasy and charging $5 a head. Entrepreneurs come in all forms, don't they? After earning his bachelor's degree in physics and economics, he went on to form a startup with his brother called Zip2, which was basically an internet yellow pages with a map included. Are the businesses that were around before smartphones. 4 years later, in 1999, he sold Zip2 for $307 million, earning Elon $22 million all on his own. For a 28-year-old, $22 million isn't too shabby. While a lot of people that age would take the money and spend it on a yacht and a house in the Hollywood Hills, Elon had quite a bit more business in mind. He invested the money in X.com, an online banking service that was eventually bought out by PayPal. Elon's earnings from that little journey, $180 million. So, now we know how Elon racked up all that money to form the companies he owns today. But how much are those companies earning him, and how much will they go on to earn? We know Tesla. We've seen those cars clogging up the freeway. We've seen Elon's wacky antics at the helm of the company, like busting some pretty memeable moves on stage in Shanghai. With that market value of $86.5 billion, it's clear that Tesla is doing A-okay. Since Elon owns approximately 38.6 million shares in Tesla, it's safe to say he's doing a little more than A-okay. But in an announcement in 2018, Tesla announced it won't be paying Elon a dime for the next 10 years under a 12-step performance plan unless Tesla nearly doubles its value. If Tesla manages to hit all 12 performance milestones, reaching a market value of $650 billion, Elon would own $184 billion worth of Tesla stock alone, making him more wealthy than Jeff Bezos with just his Tesla stock. But $650 billion is a lot of money. Enough money to give every single person in the United States $1,000 with a couple of billion left to spare. Is it feasible that Tesla could make that much? Considering the fact that in 2018, Tesla's sales increased by 280% and their services and other revenue increased by 68%. 8% in Q3 of 2019. It looks like their consistently increasing sales are leaning in that direction. But 184 billion in Tesla stock doesn't exactly make a trillionaire. Lucky for Elon, he's got a few other companies dabbling their little robot fingers in some other ventures. SpaceX is one of Elon's well-known business ventures. They do a lot of work, building insane rocket engines, developing private spaceflight vehicles, scaring the entire city of Los Angeles with their launches. You know, usual business stuff. As you'd imagine, aerospace companies rack up some out-of-this-world money. With an estimated value of $33.3 billion, SpaceX is no different. However, it's their plan for the future that really manages to set them apart. With the intention to colonize Mars, create private, affordable space flights, and resume American astronaut spaceflight. They have a lot on their plate. But it's their Starlink program that's expected to really reel in the dough. Starlink is a satellite initiative intending to provide high-speed and low-cost internet across the globe. Really, the only two things you could want from the internet. But how much is it gonna be worth? A recent analysis by Morgan Stanley expects Starlink to blast SpaceX's value to $120 billion within the next couple of years, earning an additional $30 to $50 billion annually. Once all 12,000 satellites are up and providing internet to countries, companies, and the United States government, it's hard to say how high this company's market value will skyrocket. And that's just from the Starlink program alone. Since Elon owns 54% of SpaceX's stock, he's looking at a pretty hefty amount of money going into his net worth. That all being said, as of now, SpaceX is private. If they ever switch to public, as Elon has stated they're planning to, their market value could drastically increase. So, as of now, we have a rough estimate of 184 billion and 120 billion, with an additional 30 to 50 billion a year. But if you're Elon, you can't just have an aerospace company and a car company, can you? I mean, that'd just be boring. See where I'm going with this? Yes, the Boring Company. The company that digs tunnels and sells flamethrowers labeled as not a flamethrower for profit. 90% of the equity is owned by Elon, with another 6% held by SpaceX. The Boring Company plans on creating an underground high-speed transportation tunnel that runs from Los Angeles to Seattle along freeways and is accessible only by Teslas and other electronic vehicles. While that may not sound profitable, the entire system is estimated to earn $5 for every $1 spent, and with Elon owning 90% equity, that's a lot of profit once the system is approved and in use. As if tunnel transportation, aerospace, car, and solar isn't enough, Elon is also the majority owner of Neuralink, a brain-computer interface program. No word has really come out about the company's profit, and they've remained relatively hush-hush about what they're working on. But it seems like some sci-fi movie material will be coming from that business soon. Neuralink shares its building with OpenAI, another company founded by Elon. The company is aimed at creating friendly, helpful AI. In other words, creating AI that won't cause a robot uprising. Microsoft invested $1 billion in OpenAI in 2019, so it's safe to say someone else thinks OpenAI is going to profit. Well, there you have it. The business is owned and operated by Elon. Can you imagine what this poor guy's email inbox looks like every day? Though it's tough to say how much these companies are going to earn Elon. It seems like that $1 trillion mark isn't too far off. Who knows what the research companies will develop, or how much that underground tunnel will really earn him? Time will tell, but things certainly are looking good for his bank account. What do you think? Will Elon become the world's first trillionaire, or will that title remain unclaimed? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you'd like to check out his competition, Jeff Bezos, feel free to check out my video on his money here. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching. I'm Mr. Luxury. Pip pip, doodly-doo. Like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. I'm Mr. Luxury. Pip pip, doodly-doo. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. As always, I'm Mr. Luxury. Pip pip, doodly-doo.